Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am doing a video about vacuum fillers. Vacuum fillers are not something I got into very quickly in the fountain pen hobby. I started with cartridge converter pens and then I moved on to piston filler pens. And vac fillers were always kind of a mystery to me. So the first one I ever got is the TWSBI Vac Mini, which I will show you today. But I'm not giving you a writing sample of that because what I want to do today is give you like some entry-level vac fillers, show them to you, ink them up, talk about how they get inked up, how it works a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I'll do my best to kind of explain it. And I don't think the TWSBI Vac Mini is in the super starter range. So I'm going to show it to you, but I'm not going to ink it. Another one that's not in the range is the Pilot Custom 823. It is one of the most well-known vac fillers, I feel, but I think if you want to move on to this, maybe try one of the other ones first. So let's switch the shot and go to some vac fillers. Okay, here we have some vac fillers. Let's talk about the one I'm not going to ink first. This is the TWSBI Vac Mini, which is a vac filler made by TWSBI in the mini form, basically. This is a funky little pen and I like the way it looks and I like the way it feels. It broke on me twice, so it's not my favorite pen. So the plastic cracked on this a couple of times. It is, I think, around $80, so it's not really, for me, this is not really a starter vac filler, but here it gets like an honorable mention. If you want to spend a little more and you like TWSBI's, you could go for this. Okay, these are like in order of price. I have two of these. They are essentially sort of copies of the VAC 700R by TWSBI. That's kind of a theme. These are kind of copy-ish pens, all of them, except for the Pen BBS. This is a Wingsung 3013, which is, I got it for $4. This is the cheapest option there is. It has a very generic nib, clear feed. It is a very large pen with a tiny nib. Let's see the other one. So they're both the same. Both have small nibs and are pretty sizable pens. For me, this is kind of comical. I essentially got the blue one and got the purple one later because it is a fairly good writer and it is a very cheap vac filler. So for about $4 you can have a vac filler if you want to try it out. So I'm going to ink them in a little bit, but I want to talk about the other ones first. So these are slightly more expensive. This is another Wingsung. This is a 699. I've talked about this on my channel before. It is a decent, it is kind of a copy of the 823. So this is the 823, this is the Wingsung 699. I'm not going to go into the politics of that. Just know that this is a good pen for about, I got it for about $27. There are different colors of these, so you can definitely get a different color if you like it more. Has a fairly sizable nib, is not out of proportion. Like, I would say these are out of proportion. This one is not. For about $27 you get a vac filler with a really good ink capacity, something that feels like it's well built and does not break on you fairly easily. This one does feel sturdy too. I like the way this feels when it plunges down. It is still like a fairly decent pen, but that nib bothers me. And what I want to say about some Wingsung pens, I don't know if I can show you, but there's a screw in the cap, and it's not protected by anything, and they tend to rust. So that happens. This one does not. So the 699 does not have that. So that's a point pro for this. Price difference is of course quite big, so if that screw tends to rust, you might be able to replace it. Like, anyway, this pen, I use it at work a lot. I kind of like it. It's a good writer. The nib is good. and it looks, I like the look of it, the clear. This one, as you can see, I've had it inked and did not clean the cap. That is my style. And this one was kind of hard to clean. But this is a Pen BBS 456. It has a duotone nib. Also a clear one. And not a copy. So this is kind of an original. The vac knob is kind of concave. It's kind of interesting to see. Threads are metal. And I don't know why the cap band is not metal, so I don't know why they did that, but that's the thing. I like their clips. So Pen BBS clips are off in this sword shape, which is nice to me. So this was, I think I paid $32 for this. It's also not bad. Also really startery vac filler. Difference that is here that this is quite an original design. Like it still looks like a clear pen, and like how much is it different from this, but this does not take design elements from let's say Pilot or TWSBI to make a copy. So this, for people who have problems with copies, this might be your best bet. Anyway, I want to ink them for you, so I'm gonna ink 3, which will result in a lot of cleaning, but I just want you to be able to see the action of the piston filling up. So this is a purple pen. It might not be as easy to see in this, but we're gonna try. And I'm gonna ink it all with the same ink to make sure like we get good writing samples that are overall similar, as in the ink does not influence the writing experience in this too much. It's Faber-Castell pink. I don't know if I showed the clear feed, but that's kind of cute. So Wing Sung does have like a line of pens that have that clear feed. Okay. So the thing that happens in a vac filler is that when you pull up the rod and you push it down, there's pressure building in this area, especially when you put it down into the ink, because it basically has nowhere to go. And then when you push it down, push it down, push it down, push it down, that pressure is released when you get to this section where it is broader, and then that sucks up the ink. That's how I've understood it. Now, I'm by no means an expert in stuff like this, but that's how I understand it, and it always looks really cool. So push it up, pull it up before you dip it into the ink. I don't know if I can zoom out a little more. Let's see if I can do that. Give me a sec. I think this might make it a little more clear. Pull it up and then dip the nib in the ink. And you can see the barrel's empty now. I'm just gonna push it and it fills. This is quite a lot of ink already in there. You can get it full by pulling back the rod and then pushing the rod up until the point where the ink level is, and then dipping it back in the ink and then pushing again. I'm not desperate for a full fill because, I mean, they're probably gonna get uninked fairly quickly. Thing to note is that if you're writing with a piston filler, you should probably keep this open, since the rod can close off this like section. You can actually see it right here. Ooh, bumping the camera. There's no ink right there, so I'm gonna have to pull this back a little bit to let the ink flow back into the like chamber. Now it's in there. Okay, capping that. So you can definitely see the ink in there right now. Looks pretty good. Okay, one that is actually one of my favorites. Again, rod back, nib in, push. This is not, I don't know if it's because the nib is so much larger and it doesn't fully fill into the bottle. This is not a great fill. I'm gonna redo that. Well, I'm gonna do, let's see if it improves if I tilt the bottle. Okay, look at that. So because his nib is bigger and the ink level in this bottle is quite low, it was hard to fill it all the way. That's like a downside to pens that are bigger and smaller ink bottles. Number 2 is inked. Just to do it with a pink ink because I hoped you would be able to see it better, but I mean, I don't think it matters that much. And then the pen BBS, also tilting it. Okay, so this is also not a really full fill, but I can deal with that. I have to make a confession. I have not used this ink before, and I think it might be fairly light, but we'll see. I just wanted to use the ink for all the pens, the same ink. So, all inked. And I guess we'll start with the pen BBS, the most expensive of all these piston fillers, all 3 of them. Okay. Okay. The pen BBS 456. Let's do some writing. This is technically a fine nib. I would say it's fairly fine. And this ink is super light, as you can see. That's what I was thinking. When I was wiping it off the nib, it looked really light. This nib is fairly smooth. There's no real line variation to be had. As you can see, you can push it and get more ink on the paper. And that looks quite nice. This ink actually does shade a bit, so if people are into shading, this may be a good ink. I would say this is a fairly dry. So the pen BBS is kind of a drier nib. There are people who like that, or if you have a really wet ink that you like but don't have a pen for, this would be a good match. And yeah, it looks really cool. I love seeing ink slosh around like this. Yeah. This is a decent writer. I love the balance of this, and the grip feels really nice. I don't know if you can post this. I've never tried it. Oh, you can. And it doesn't feel bad. It is a little top heavy right now, but it's fairly sturdy and definitely doable if you would like that. I would say you don't need to. It's a fairly long pen. Yeah, it's good. I like this one. I don't like dry nibs that much, so I might have to do some work on this nib to get it to where I like it. But it's good. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's go for the cheapest. I think I've used the blue one and not the purple one, so that's interesting. Oh, this is also interesting. This makes a noise when it's loose. It sounds a little cheap, but it might be me. Wing Sung. Oh, that doesn't write at all. Let me see how I can get this to do what I want it to do. I can see the ink under the feed. There's even a droplet. I don't know if you can see it. This isn't moving to the end of the nib. Well, you see here first. I guess what you pay for is what you get. Let's see if I can fiddle with it. Okay. That was a great first experience. Well, now you see what you get for $4. Wing Sung 3013. They call this a fine nib. I would say this is an extra fine. Oh, we have droppage. Yeah, this is a very disappointing experience for me. I remember this one being good. This one is not. So what I'm getting from this is that it's a grab bag. And like I had to like really work at getting the ink out, even though like it has to be saturated because the ink went through the feed and the nib and it touched everything. So that's not the problem, there's just weirdness going on. It's a grab bag, so you can try your luck and get one of these. I've had a good one right here, but I thought I would try the purple one, and it's not great. If you don't mind nib work, you can work on this nib. There is a possibility that you can switch in a Pilot Metropolitan nib on these, because Wing Sung at some point got a Pilot factory in the feeds, or like Pilot feeds, but I cannot guarantee that, so I would say be careful with this. But for the Tinkerer, this is like an interesting pen. It's $4, nothing to ruin. There are good ones and there are not as good ones, apparently. Okay. That was the Wing Sung 3013. And now, let's see the one I have used the most, actually. So, I love the look of the dark barrel and cap ends and the big nib and this like cigar shape. This is the Wing Sung 699. This is also fine nib. I don't know if you notice it, but this one seems to be a little darker in color, the ink from this pen, and I'm probably because this is a little wetter. This nib is stiffer than the Pen BBS nib, like quite a lot stiffer. But I really like this pen, and I don't hate this color in this pen. If you look at it, it's very pretty. Still think this ink is a fairly dry ink. So for example, with this Wing Sung, you might have more luck with a wet ink. But as I said, I wanted to keep it all the same. Yeah, this is my favorite from these. I kind of love this pen. I've thought about getting more, but like I have an A23, and this one I can use at work and the other one at home. Doesn't feel as luxurious, of course, as the A23, but it does feel like a quality pen. Okay. I think we should leave it at that. I hope you found this informative. There was a surprise in there for me, the fact that the 3013 wouldn't really write. But that's how it goes. Like, it's not perfect all the time. So yeah. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If you have any requests about pens that you want to see, please let me know that too. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.